You know who just stunk up the View.
The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud. According to
Their brains are small, but who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart.
Sunny Hostin just got hit with some seriously bad news. And let's just say Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf are having a field day with it.
Kat, how many co-hosts has The View had since it first started? I've lost count. I don't know any of these people.
No, that's because they don't stick around long enough. There's been 17 since 1997.
Turns out Sunny's husband is caught up in a huge $450 million fraud case, and the timing couldn't be more ironic. While Sunny's usually busy calling out everyone else on ethics and morals from her seat on The View, the spotlight has now swung right back at her, and not in a good way. Greg and Kat, they didn't hold back. They turned the whole situation into a roast session. Greg was cracking jokes like it was a comedy special, poking fun at how Sunny's whole image just took a whole twist. Kat, she was laughing like she saw this coming a mile away.
That's a lot. That's because they're women.
Oh, really?
They're hormones. They're changing their minds. I don't want to work here. Yes, I do. That's why. Women are always changing jobs every day.
Wow,
I just quit.
Direct mail to Catherine Timpf, not me.
For people who've watched The View long enough, this felt like the ultimate twist. The woman who never misses a chance to school others on right and wrong is suddenly linked to a scandal that's making headlines everywhere.
Mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations.
Greg even joked, and Kat added her humor to the mix, calling this the most entertaining thing The View has had in ages. It wasn't just jokes. They were pulling apart the whole self-righteous vibe the show is known for. And when that picture-perfect image started crumbling, Greg and Kat didn't miss a beat. They raised a glass to karma doing its job, with a whole lot of sarcasm on the side. Long story short, they're treating this scandal like a 5-course meal, and Sunny's credibility is what's on the menu. So what did Sunny's husband do? Let's break it down. Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Manny Hostin, landed in the spotlight after being named in a major insurance fraud lawsuit. According to court documents reviewed by Us Weekly on January 7, 2025, Manny is one of nearly 200 people listed as defendants in a case filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York.
Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit. Okay, now let's read this, Rob.
The longtime co-host of The View hasn't publicly commented, but her husband was just granted more time to officially respond to the lawsuit, which was originally filed on December 17th by American Transit Insurance Company, a company that insures taxi drivers as well as Uber and Lyft operators. Manny, a New York-based orthopedic surgeon, is being accused of federal insurance fraud. According to the Daily Mail, he allegedly received kickbacks for performing surgeries and then billing an insurance company that covered taxi drivers as well as Uber and Lyft workers. The Daily Mail reported getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers.
So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraud.
According to court updates, American Transit has already settled with 141 of the 186 people named in the jaw-dropping 698-page legal complaint. The company says more deals are likely on the way. As for Dr. Hostin, his attorney, Kurt Lundgren, called the extension a routine step and confirmed that settlement talks are still ongoing. We have every expectation of resolving matters with American Transit on behalf of all of our clients, said Lundgren of Thwaites, Lundgren and Darcy. American Transit's attorneys recently gave us the courtesy of an extension of time to answer the complaint so as to continue discussions of resolution. On top of that, Sunny has stood by her husband, saying the lawsuit doesn't hold much weight. She claims the insurance company behind it, American Transit, which mainly deals with rideshare drivers, has a track record of filing what she calls frivolous claims. In a January 13th interview with the New York Post, Sunny Hostin revealed that she and her husband had brought on high-profile attorney Mark Garagos, and that they plan to hit back with a countersuit against American Transit.
In December, lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowing knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants.
In that same statement, Sunny didn't hold back. She accused the insurance company of having a habit of filing frivolous lawsuits and claimed they were exploiting her celebrity status to fuel a disgusting media smear campaign against her husband and even dragging in their children. The lawsuit itself is rooted in New York's no-fault insurance law. According to the complaint, insurance providers are required to cover medical expenses and related costs if someone gets hurt while riding in or is hit by a vehicle they insure, including taxi, Uber, and Lyft drivers. This no-fault law has been around since 1974, and insurers pay for basic expenses like medical bills, transportation for medical visits, and lost wages. Private car insurers have to cover up to $50,000 per person, but for commercial vehicles, that number jumps to $200,000. Lately, states around the U.S. have started taking a fresh look at these decade-old laws. This has put a target on the backs of livery vehicles and the insurance companies that insure them for unsavory persons seeking to capitalize on payouts following injuries. In the aggregate, those abusing the no-fault law have racked up hundreds of millions in fraudulent payments, destabilized the livery insurance markets in New York City, the lawsuit states. The alleged fraud was led by a group of ambulatory surgical centers from 2009 to the present, the lawsuit claims. Injured people were first treated at the clinic, then transferred to an ACS for orthopedic and/or pain management evaluations, the lawsuit says. Emmanuel addressed the allegations via his attorney, Daniel John Thwaites, who told the Daily Mail that his client denies each and every allegation. Thwaites added that the lawsuit is a blanket, scattershot, meritless lawsuit by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier. It is meant to intimidate and H doctors from collecting for care given to American Transit insureds and their passengers. Thwaites continued, American Transit has rushed into the lawsuit without ever conducting an examination of Dr. Hostin or expressing any concerns to his lawyers. The real story here is about an insurance carrier abusing the legal system to limit and restrict health care benefits to its insureds and their passengers and write off its proper obligations.
Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Thwaites, denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits.
Additionally, Sunny Hostin alleged American Transit is on the verge of bankruptcy and used my celebrity status to start a disgusting media smear campaign against my husband, according to EW. Let me be clear. Where I come from, American Transit will receive a Ph.D. from FAFO University, she concluded, as in F around and find out. In the suit filed in federal court in Brooklyn, Dr. Hostin is named as the owner of Hostin Orthopedics, working out of an 8th-floor office on Lexington Avenue, close to Manhattan's Grand Central Terminal.
The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault.
As examples, the insurance company claims Dr. Hostin, who is affiliated with several top New York hospitals, including Mount Sinai and Lenox Hill, saw 2 patients in January 2023 who were involved in low-impact collisions that should have caused no more than soft tissue injuries. But in both cases, Dr. Hostin is said to have performed arthroscopic surgery within 2 months without seeing if the patients would have recovered through more conservative care. Sunny, who is also an attorney, has warned that the price could rise, noting that $5 million is an amount that is likely to increase as the reputational damage that American Transit has intentionally caused its difficulty to quantify at this time. Sunny Hostin's whole moral authority image, it's sinking faster than a View co-host trying to explain the economy without flashcards. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld is strolling through the chaos like a cat who shattered a fancy vase and casually blames the dog for it. And Kat Timpf, she looked like she was watching her favorite drama unfold live, relaxed, smirking, and clearly loving every second.
But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals...
Kat's dislike for The View is so thick, you could probably file taxes on it. And now, Sunny's just the latest example of someone who preached too hard and forgot that real life doesn't come with a moral immunity badge. Kat laid it out like an experiment gone wrong, one where the years of acting holier than thou crumble the second real accountability walks in like a repo guy with paperwork. She even poked fun at The View's over-the-top delivery, saying their next segment might as well be called Financial Crimes and Finger Wagging, How to Preach and Dodge Consequences at the Same Time. Greg, never one to miss an opportunity, suggested Sonny should come out spinning a game show wheel. Today's category: fraud, privilege, or selective outrage. Spin it and see what we're pretending doesn't exist today.
That's a lot. That's because they're women.
Oh, really?
They're hormones. They're changing their minds. I don't want to work here. Yes, I do. That's why. Women are always changing jobs every day.
Wow,
I just quit.
Direct mail.
Behind the scenes, it probably looked like a mix of soap opera chaos and an emergency PR meeting run by interns. And let's not ignore the other co-hosts. These are the same folks who can spot a Republican parking ticket from a continent away. But now that it's one of their own in deep trouble, suddenly it's all, let's give her privacy, and we're focusing on love and light today. Translation: we've lawyered up, and we're not going near this story, not even with a Joy Behar rant. Greg, of course, was beaming. To him, this scandal was the ultimate gift, like handing a flamethrower to a guy who's already juggling fireworks. And Kat, she looked like she was watching the season finale of the best reality show ever. Except this time, even the fake houseplants were ready to sue for defamation.
Just a person, the Sonny Hostin that we all love from one of my favorite shows on The View. And it's always, Tom, what'd you always say? It's always the people that...
This wasn't just Sonny Hostin having a rough week. It felt like the entire media bubble she's a part of was tripping over its own ego and falling flat on its face. While The View scrambled to spin the story and do damage control, Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf turned up the sarcasm and had an absolute field day. But let's be honest, when your show basically runs on moral lectures and one of your key players ends up tied to a major fraud case, it's not just a PR problem, it's like losing your entire moral compass. In Sonny's case, that compass seems to be pointing away from Accountability Street and taking a sharp turn down Denial Avenue.
Back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over.
At this point, Greg and Kat weren't just calling out The View, they were jabbing at the entire elite bubble it represents. And with each jab, the overly serious, self-important tone of the show deflated like a balloon, letting out one last wheeze of righteousness. And the audience? Oh, America was watching. Front row, popcorn in hand, just waiting to see how The View would try to spin this without rewriting reality itself. Greg, of course, took it a step further as always. He didn't just joke about the scandal, he turned it into a case study in unintentional comedy. He pointed out how The View loves to preach about how the right is full of corruption and greed. But now here they are, with one of their own tangled up in a financial mess that feels more like a legal drama than anything you'd expect from daytime TV.
Even she knows she sounds insufferable. Hey, I'm but at least I tip.
And the wildest part? The amount of money involved. This wasn't a forgotten parking ticket or a little accounting mistake. This was a $450 million fraud case, the kind of number that even shady Wall Street types might raise a toast to. Kat, as usual, didn't miss her shot. She pointed out how The View is always so quick to pounce when someone on the right messes up. Suddenly, they've turned quiet when the scandal hit one of their own. No serious panel debate, no dramatic music, no endless outrage. Just a quick topic switch. Like they were brushing off a wardrobe malfunction instead of a jaw-dropping legal bombshell. Now imagine if this had happened to someone like Meghan McCain. You just know they would have dragged her through it. Week-long, on-air, live dramatic, and ruthless. Greg couldn't resist poking at the irony. He joked that if irony were a person, it would have bought a penthouse in Manhattan and booked a front row seat to The View. Kat chimed in with the cherry on top. Sonny, the queen of speeches, had nothing to say. No heartfelt monologue, no powerful justice will prevail moment, just silence. Greg in full roast mode didn't just comment, he performed. It was like sarcasm in 3D. He didn't offer a GoFundMe link for Sonny's legal headaches, that would have been too predictable. Instead, he floated the idea of a national popcorn fund. Because honestly, this scandal is pure entertainment, and the public deserves snacks for the show. And just when you thought he was done, Greg took it even further. He joked that Sonny might want to forget TV and law altogether, maybe write a book instead. A bestseller on how to say one thing and live another. Because really, the irony wasn't just there. It had been slow-cooked and served with a side of contradiction.
For context, Sonny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the
Here's someone who built her whole image on ethics and legal know-how, all while living in a house where the paperwork had more twists than a thriller movie. And The View's big response? A group hug and a whole lot of selective memory. Kat closed it out by reminding everyone how the show once turned a tiny conservative slip-up into an entire week of hand-wringing lectures, but now, crickets. But hey, $450 million in fraud? Let's circle back to Fashion Week, right? Kat joked, even suggesting they rename the show The Skew for its ability to turn any awkward topic into a round table of eye rolls and softballs.
This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the kickbacks.
Greg, the ultimate showman, wrapped it up with a classic. Imagine if Kat or I were even remotely tied to a fraud case that big. We'd be canceled faster than Joy Behar forgets how to let someone finish a sentence. The double standard wasn't just visible, it was doing backflips down Broadway. And remember, this isn't the first scandal to hit The View. This show seems to attract public screw-ups, dressed in righteous packaging. But this one was next level. It took the cake, baked it with irony, and served it on a silver platter of schadenfreude. Greg and Kat didn't just take a bite. They turned it into a full 6-course meal of mockery with a side of "we told you so." What made their roast so satisfying? It wasn't just the scale of the joke, but how precisely they hit the mark. No screaming, no wild rants, just pure surgical takedowns that pointed out the absurdity of a moral crusader now tangled in everything she once warned us about.
Life. Interesting change of tune. For more, we go to our chief Sunny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
Meanwhile, The View kept spinning in circles, hoping the storm would blow over. Spoiler alert, it won't. Not with Greg and Kat holding mics and cranking up the sarcasm. The real takeaway here isn't just the scandal. It's the whole View ecosystem, a place where accountability is outsourced, double standards are imported, and reality is twisted until it's unrecognizable. While Sunny's legal team is probably doing deep breathing to stay calm, the rest of us are here just for the comedy. Greg and Kat did what they do best, exposed the hypocrisy, laughed in its face, and served it back to us with a flair that made even the scandal feel like a sitcom. Except this time, the sitcom comes with a court date and a $450 million plot twist. Many people predict that The View will try to act like nothing happened. But thanks to Greg and Kat, this story is permanently etched into the Hall of Hypocrisy, framed under the bold headline, Sunnyside Fraud. And no amount of makeup, lighting, or spin is going to change that. A user said, "She says her husband operates on people who don't have insurance and then has to sue insurance companies to get paid. If they don't have insurance, how does he decide which insurance company to sue? I think I'll sue MetLife this time." Greg and Kat didn't hold back. They called out the double standards and hypocrisy with sarcasm, humor, and sharp commentary. And honestly, they're not wrong. If this had happened to someone from the right, The View would have spent days breaking it down with dramatic music and serious faces. But now that it's one of their own, it's all love and light. What's happening here shows a bigger problem. The View has built a reputation on standing up for what's right. But when things get uncomfortably close to home, that same energy disappears, and that makes people question everything they've claimed to stand for. When the rules only apply to others, not yourself, how can you talk about fairness? So now, with a $450 million lawsuit hanging in the air, a lot of people are left wondering, is The View still a place for real talk and truth, or just another show that picks and chooses its battles based on what's convenient?